San Francisco is arguably one of the most famous cities in the entire world, as well as one of the most liberal. They're just so open and welcoming to everyone. And they have some of the best restaurants rated in the entire world also. And then if you want to see views that will simply take your breath away, they also have that. And so when people think of San Francisco, they think of, Miss Doubtfire, or they think of Full House. But the thing is, when you're at like a 4 or 5 star hotel sometimes, it's almost impossible not to see some crazy things, from like the homelessness problem. So I want to give you like a full scope of San Francisco, not just a picture perfect view that a lot of people have from around the world, because a lot of people would be shocked when they come. And so I just want to give you a real perspective, and so you can enjoy your time as much as I have. Now I want to talk about a little bit about the history. So if you know anything about American football, the football team in San Francisco is called the 49ers. Why? Because when San Francisco actually really got cooked off in the Gold Rush era, those people were called 49ers, hence where the name came from. And so you can see a lot of the history and the people who helped build, there's a large Chinese population, and you can see that in the DNA today throughout San Francisco. And then one of the must-do things in San Francisco is going to Alcatraz. What is that? It's actually an old prison on an island. It's actually home to the legendary Al Capone, and it's one of the most beautiful boat rides that you can take as well. But while I was there, I actually did a little voice note where you can feel like you're actually there experiencing it with me. So just leaving Alcatraz, ferry comes here a few times a day, and then within an hour you can pretty much explore everything that you want to do. Little cool fact, Al Capone, this is where he was, and then so much history that you'll learn about, but I'm gonna keep it short. It's literally one of the most beautiful places that you could probably be imprisoned at. Some of these guys back in the day even had an ocean view. Crazy. And one of my favorite views in San Francisco is from Charmaine's. And if you're from the city, of course you know Charmaine's already. It's one of the best rooftops. You can't even deny it. And so if you're from out of town though, make sure that you have a reservation, because the first time I went there, I just rolled up to like, sorry, we're at capacity already. And so when you think of a beautiful place to watch sunset, if you're having a celebration, if you're having a birthday, or you just wanna have the ultimate vibes, Charmaine is that spot. The food is amazing, the cocktails are great. You literally just cannot go wrong with this place. The only thing is, it's just very small and intimate, so there's very limited seating capacity. And now another thing is at top of the proper hotel. And so when I walked through the lobby, I was like, okay, this is my kind of spot. From the art decor, from the people greeting you, just the whole aura of the place, you're like, this is where you would want to stay. If you've got that, like, when you think about Instagram and real life, but mixed with class and some sophistication, that's what I picture when I walked into the proper hotel. And so when I got there, I actually stayed there twice. So first I just stayed there during the weekend. I stayed in a regular room. It was great, well appointed. They make great use of the space that they have. Beds are super comfortable, literally cannot go wrong, and the prices are actually pretty good. And then on my birthday, I was like, if there's any place I want to stay, it's definitely the proper hotel. And so I opted for a suite because I had a few friends come over. And so I was like, I wanted a separate living room space, and then separate from the bedroom. And it was just a beautiful room, great for entertaining. Or if you have a family, you just want to have that kind of vibe. Or if you just have the budget to get a suite, you go ahead and do that. But I cannot recommend it enough. And then another thing is downstairs, if you think of someone who thinks about visuals, they have this place on the patio where you can get a mixologist making some of the best cocktails in the city, as well as like kind of finger foods. Just when you think about taking an Instagram, if you think about an Instagram influencer taking a picture, this is probably where they are taking it, just because how they care about the attention to detail. So now I talked about all these good things. I want to keep it real as well, is the neighborhood. And I've said this about so many 4- and 5-star hotels in San Francisco. It's impossible not to see the homelessness problem, like literally as soon as you walk outside. And why do I tell you that? Because I just don't want you to be shocked, or if you're coming with a family, maybe preparing your kids to be like, kids, you might see some things that you're not used to seeing. And that's just the reality of things. But it also feels safe in the same breath. It's not, because I wouldn't want to go there if I didn't feel safe. experience. And as you can see by the type of people, everyone still comes here and enjoys. It's kind of like an up-and-comer hipster area as well, if I could really explain it in, in the proper context. San Francisco is filled with so many amazing neighborhoods. And one of my favorite is Fisherman's Wharf. Why? Because it's on the water, and so you have all these beautiful paths that you can walk down. And it's a great place for family too, because you have kind of like arcade places that you can go. They have like the pier with games, and there's just so many different places you can go shopping, restaurants. And then also, if you've never seen seals in your life, they have so many seals that you can walk up on, and it's actually like a really cool experience if you've never seen them before. A great restaurant in Fisherman's Wharf is Fog Harbor. This is another place though, you wanna have a reservation. I tried to go there one time, the first time, sorry, we're at capacity. And so the next time I went back, we had one of the most beautiful meals that you could ever imagine. And then depending on the time of year, maybe take a jacket because it can get a little bit chilly when you feel the breeze, from the ocean. And so they have a award-winning clam chowder. You cannot miss out on it. And Talia actually has done our producer, a whole video on food where she goes even more in depth, and so many amazing restaurants in San Francisco. Because it's not a foodie video, I'm just giving you a snippet of what to expect, but highly recommend. And then Yelp has actually rated it one of the top 5 restaurants in San Francisco. So it's not just me saying it, it's literally certified. One place you absolutely cannot miss in San Francisco is Twin Peaks. If you have someone showing you around and they do not take you to Twin Peaks, you'd be like, what kind of friend are you? So when my mom came into town, I took her to Twin Peaks. And it's beautiful if you see it at day or night. So I took her at night, and it was just, you see like the whole city lit up, and then day is equally as spectacular. Literally, it will take your breath away. It is one of the most beautiful views, not just in the city, but literally in the world. While San Francisco is known as one of the most expensive cities in the world, which is true, but there's so many amazing, beautiful things that you can do for free. Like, I've done so many hikes. Like, for example, also on the weekend, went to Land's End. This is a beautiful place where you can do a couple-mile hike, and it's a pretty easy hike, and you get a beautiful view of the Golden Gate Bridge as well. No shortage of cool neighborhoods when you're talking about San Francisco. And then, so HeightAshbury, I probably got that pronunciation wrong, but this neighborhood is so cool when you think about just colorful and bright. So many bars, restaurants, and just people walking around. You can just feel the energy of the neighborhood. If you want to feel a unique place in San Francisco, I definitely recommend stopping over there for an afternoon. It will be well worth the time. Get a drink in one of the local bars and just get to talk to some of the local people in the area. If you want to get away from the hustle and bustle, all the craziness, and feel like you're in pure serenity, there's a spot called Golden Gate Park. When I went there, I had no idea what to expect, and I just felt calm from the moment that I arrived. And then also, if you're not driving, because a lot of people just Uber around, they actually have this shuttle that goes around and then will take you to, we stopped at the Japanese tea park. They had so much homage to the Japanese culture, from the bonsai trees. And then if you think you're on a chill vibe, just going to the park, when you step into the garden, you're like, oh my God. This is tranquility on another level. It was just beautiful. We walked around, looked at a lot of the plants and the trees that they had there, and you truly, if you don't appreciate nature after going here, I don't know what will. Now back to food. Your boy loves to eat. And probably my favorite overall restaurant was the Water Bar. I love the area that it's in. And then it's right on the water. You have this beautiful view of the Tower Bridge in the background. And the calamari here, we tried calamari at probably like 6, 7 different restaurants. This calamari is literally the best in San Francisco. I mean, all of the food was great. And then if you want to get amazing cocktails and just the vibe, my boy Jerry stopped by. It literally makes me smile every time that I think about this place. That is how good this place is. And because San Francisco is a really big place, you might want to rent a car so you can get the most out of San Francisco because they have so many beautiful places. And then one little tidbit, make sure that you do get full coverage on your car because San Francisco, or just the Bay in general, is one of the highest places in America for car break-ins. Not like carjackings where you're going down the street and someone's gonna jack you, but if you leave your car, if you leave valuables in plain sight, 15 seconds, they are in and they are out. It's happened to me literally one time, 3 times within 1 week, but I won't go into that whole thing. Literally, so you'll see broken glass everywhere, but it's not a dangerous city. But I tell you these things because one little thing like this could mess up your entire trip. I saw this one family and then their broken window, like, oh my God, our stuff. And I was like, oh my God. So don't leave anything in your car and you're gonna have, an amazing trip. My dream was driving over the Golden Gate Bridge in a convertible. And so they have this website called, an app, Get Around. So you can rent cars by the hour, and they had a Porsche 911 on there for $25 an hour. I was like, this is gonna be cheaper than my Uber ride doing this. So literally, it's one of the coolest things. You have an app on your phone, and then I picked the car up from a parking lot, and I would just literally put the app, I hit unlock, it sends a signal up to, or whatever, to the car, and it goes boop, 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 and the car actually unlocks. So no counters, no dealing with a rental car company, and then you just take the car, the keys hidden somewhere in the car, and then off you go. Had the car for, actually had it longer than 2 hours, but I rented it for 2 hours and I ended up extending it. But literally, then you just bring the car back to the same spot. And so I highly recommend Get Around if you just need a car for a few hours, because then you also don't have to worry about overnight parking, which can be quite expensive. And one of my favorite things is actually the farmers market. And why? Because you get so many different ethnicities sharing their products, their crafts, and they're coming together as a community. When you think about community, this is what I think about when I went to the farmers market. And obviously the prices are really good, and you can feel the passion because you meet so many actual business owners at the stalls sharing their products. And so I really enjoyed that. You can go there 3 times a week or 3 different days of the week, and then it's from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And then another thing is that it's so culturally diverse and accepting. No matter if you are black, if you are white, if you are Chinese, Indian, there are so many different cultures within San Francisco. And then they also have the largest Chinatown in the United States because this is the first place that the Chinese immigrated in 1848. And then so it would have been criminal not to stop by Chinatown at one of the best restaurants that's basically rated that I saw online. We pulled up, the service was amazing, and the food was absolutely phenomenal. The service was great. I could talk about food so much in San Francisco, but like I said, I'm gonna leave that to Talia. She goes in depth about so many different food options, from like little corner store spots, street stands, to some of the most elaborate fancy restaurants within the city. So yes, San Francisco does have its issues, but you would be absolutely foolish not to visit San Francisco. There's so much to offer, and it's the reason I keep going back, right? There's so much to do, and it's so culturally diverse. Yes, is it changing year by year? But right now, it is still so culturally diverse. And then you're literally 20 minutes away from Oakland. Highly recommend visiting. I think people think like San Francisco and Oakland are like just completely different worlds. People don't even know how close. Literally, the Bay Bridge, 20 minutes apart. You have Sausalito, 15 minutes away. I don't need to tell you much about baseball. If you know, we behind Oracle Park, and right now I'm having one of the best days of my life because we on the water. And if you want to experience San Francisco in one of the most unique ways possible, you need to do it aboard a boat. I'm on the Shanutski, and if you saw my Sausalito video, and that actually reminds me, if you want to have one of the most epic trips of your life, take a ride across the bridge to Sausalito. It reminds me of Little Italy, right? So if you're here for 3-4 days, I promise you, take the trip. It's absolutely magical. And then also, this boat is docked in Sausalito, and then you get to tour all around San Francisco, Sausalito, and see also the Golden Gate Bridge, right? Sail underneath the Golden Gate Bridge in one of the most unique ways possible. I said unique that many times because literally on this boat, that is what you will experience. Most people will bike over it, but here you can go under it, experience it. I literally saw a helicopter. I didn't do that this trip, but I recommend if you got the budget, because I know that shit ain't cheap. But anyways, man, I'm gonna enjoy the rest of my bubbles, and I hope you enjoy San Francisco as much as I have. Take care, and make it a beautiful day. And so with that, I hope you enjoy San Francisco as much as we have. And make sure you stick around to the end. We have some pretty funny bloopers. And of course, I gotta give a big shout out to Mr. Bandana Yuri for shooting this video and structuring the edit. And then I gotta also give a big shout out to Ant because he's the one who brought this project home with finishing up the edit. Big shout out to Talia, just call her the travel planning queen. She produced everything that we did. People don't understand how much work that goes into planning these videos, and she is the one that did that. Isaiah McNeil composing, they call him Little Hans Zimmer. The scores, people are always asking, what is that track? What is that thing? It's custom, it's scored by Isaiah, but people are asking for that track. So bother this man until he does that. And also, if you want to connect with like-minded people who watch these videos that travel the world or even travel within the United States, there's a link in the description. And also we might have just exclusive things that you can do while traveling. Click the link in the description and you'll be able to opt in for our free email list. But anyways, enjoy.